Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to the channel. My name is T and this is my channel Crumpets Tea and Sewing. I also go by that handle over on Instagram. I'll put my link to my Instagram account in the description box below and you could go over and check me out. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my birthday dress reveal as well as a pattern review of the Butterick B6623. So stay tuned and you'll learn all about this beautiful pattern that I made for my birthday. So the B6623 pattern has three different variations of a dress. As you can see, the sleeves are diagonal. It's cut on a diagonal line, and it also has mitered corners as well. The sleeves, you have three different options. You can do a short sleeve, you could do a long sleeve, or you could do a sleeve with a band, which you could color block. So you could do like a contrasting color on for the band. I decided to hack my pattern, and so I'll make sure that I put a video here within this video, and you can see how I hacked the pattern. So you'll see that later on, and I'll talk more about the sleeve and the sleeve hack. The pattern also calls for notions. So you're going to need an invisible zipper, a hook and eye, and then just your thread. So you don't really need anything else besides those notions. The pattern is the pattern calls for woven and stretch fabrics. So you could do a stable knit, or you can use fabrics such as challis, crepe, double georgette, or peach skin fabrics. So I went with a Liverpool knit. And this knit I actually purchased off of eBay, and the vendor I believe is Fabric Universe. And I'll put that information in the description box below just in case you are wondering where I got my fabric. I believe it's Fabric Universe. If it's not, I'll make sure that I put the link to it in the description box below just in case you want to purchase some of this fabric. You'll know where to get it from. I really like this fabric because it's light in weight and it's not heavy at all, but obviously it is a polyester, and so it doesn't breathe very well, but it is very lightweight. So I really like that about the fabric. And I'll tell you about the contrast piece that I use as well and where I purchased it as well. But let me go ahead and finish getting through the rest of the review. So the pattern has two different size ranges. So you can choose A5, the envelope A5, which goes from 6 to 14, or you can choose E5, and that pattern envelope goes from 14 to 22, I believe. Yes, 14 to 22. And the body measurements for those two groups of sizes are, so for A5, that's the pattern that ranges from 6 to 14. You're looking at a bust of 30.5 inches to 36 inches. For your waist, you're looking at 23 inches to 28 inches. And for your hips, you're looking at 32.5 inches to 38 inches. Now that's for the first envelope, which is the size range 6 to 14. For the second envelope, which is E5, those sizes range from 14 to 22, and you're looking at a bust of 36 to 44 inches, a waist of 28 to 44 inches, and a hip size of 38 to 46 inches. And I'll make sure that I include that information here so that you can see those sizes and you can get an idea of where you might fit in that size range. This is a stable knit. However, I did need a little bit of negative ease. And so initially I chose a size 16, and a size 16 is 41.5 inches for the bust. And that's usually around the size that I would choose for woven fabric, because my bust measure at about 39 inches. And so I usually need a little bit of extra room for ease. So I usually choose around that 41.5. Well, that 41.5 was a little bit too big. So I had to go down a size. And so I went down to the size 14, and the size 14 is a 39.5, and that fits really well. And as you can see here, I'll stand up so you can see. So as you can see, it's really nice, and it's really snug against my breast. And I have a little bit of room for ease on the side, which is perfect. But in the front is really snug and nice against my breast. And I really love the way in which it fits. It's really nice. So that was for the size for the bust. For the waist, initially I chose a size 14, and that's listed on the tissue paper as a 33.5. Again, my waist measures around a 32.5 to a 33. And so I had to go down a size. And so I went down to the size 12. But for my envelope, a size 12 was not listed because I chose the E5, which is the 14 to 22. So I graded down a size and just kind of calculated based on how the pattern was designed and drafted. And so I took out about 2 inches, and so it's about 31.5 inches now for the waist instead of the 33.5. So those are the sizes that I chose for the bodice and for the waist. And in terms of adjustments, the only adjustment that I really did to the pattern is the shoulder point was off a little bit. I had to raise it up about 1/2 inch, and now it sits on my shoulder point, and it's great. So I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to do a bicep adjustment. Normally I have to do a bicep adjustment, and I'm quite certain if I made this in a woven, I may have had to do a bicep adjustment, but I did not have to do it this time, because actually, even with the woven, I would not need to do a bicep adjustment, because the pattern is, the sleeves are very voluminous, and I had to actually reduce some of the fullness out of the sleeve in order to get this balloon sleeve that I created. So instead of doing the diagonal sleeve that the pattern calls for with the mitered corners, I did a balloon sleeve, and I added a cuff at the bottom. And I'll insert that video here so you can see what that looks like. So while I was recording this video, I forgot to mention a couple things, and I thought that I would just add them here. The first is you do need fusible facing for this project. I forgot to include that on a notions list. Also, I wanted to tell you all that this is a pattern that has an empire waistline. So the midriff of the pattern sits just right underneath my breast area, and the skirt actually comes about 2 inches above the natural waistline. So just keep that in mind. Also, I wanted to go ahead and show you Crystal's version of the skirt. She chose a woven fabric, and it's just beautiful. So Crystal and I, we both did this in collaboration with one another for our birthdays. And we also did a virtual live on Saturday. And we talked a little bit about the dress, and we also talked about our upcoming sewing plans. If you're interested, I'll put the link to that video in the description box below, and you could go over and check that out. And now, without further ado, let's get back to the rest of the video. I didn't really do like anything special. All I did was I slashed the pattern into I slashed the pattern 5 times. And after I slashed the pattern 5 times, I just reduced the amount of space between each point by about, I think it was either an inch or inch and a half or something like that. I'll show you here in the video. You might be able to see more clearly here how I took that out. And then I also made sure that I cut the sleeve at the bottom where that diagonal line was at. So I cut that off because I didn't want to have that diagonal shape. So instead I just curved the bottom of the pattern. So that's what I did with the sleeve, and that's basically the only hack that I did. And like I said, the only adjustment that I did was to the shoulder point. I just raised the shoulder point. So I did not have to do anything else, and I was really surprised by that, except for taking the pattern in a little bit. But other than that, I didn't do anything else. The skirt I chose the flared skirt, the A-line skirt, which is basically I chose view B of the dress. I just hacked the sleeves, and it has a midriff. The pattern features a midriff, and it also features a V-neck line. So I fully lined my dress. So I did not use the facing. So the pattern, all the pattern pieces that the pattern calls for is a bodice front, which is cut twice, a bodice back, which is also cut twice because there's an invisible zip that goes in the back. You have your sleeve pattern, you have your midriff pattern, you have your skirt front and your skirt back. And so those are all the pieces. So those are, I think it's like 6 to 7 pieces. So it's really simple and easy. However, oh, I'm sorry, you also have your front facing and your back facing. And I did not use those pieces because I fully lined my dress. Now, the pattern does not call for it to be fully lined. I just fully lined my dress because whenever I'm working with a light fabric, especially if it has any type of white in it, I like to line my dress. And in this case, I did, I decided to just line the dress because you can, it's not transparent. You can't really see through it, but I guess if you're up close and depending on what I actually wear underneath of it, like say for instance, if I wanted to wear a neon green bralette for whatever reason, it might show through the white. And so that's why I decided to just go ahead and line the dress. So again, it's fully lined. So I didn't use the back facing or the front facing. I just used my lining to, I put my lining, the right side of my lining to the right side of my bodice front and back, and just stitched along the neckline, and then flipped it inward and then stitched the rest of the pieces together. Like I stitched the lining together with the rest of the lining pieces, and I stitched the shell of the garment together with the shell pieces. And then that's basically all that I did. The black fabric that I use as a contrast is also a Liverpool knit, and I purchased it from Hobby Lobby. Now, I've never seen Hobby Lobby carry Liverpool knit until this year. So I lucked out on that, and I was really happy about that because it's really hard to find when you're contrasting fabrics. It's really hard to find the exact same fabric or a similar fabric that match, but the texture of the black fabric, the weight of the black fabric is equal to the Liverpool print fabric. And so I was really, really pleased and happy about that. So that's basically everything that I did for the dress. The hem of the skirt is a very narrow hem. So I just serged the bottom of the skirt, and I turned the hem up, and I just stitched it in place. So it's a very, very narrow hem, maybe 3/8 of an inch. I did not follow the directions on that at all. I just wanted to have a narrow hem on this one because it's a really beautiful, nice floral fabric, and I just wanted something really nice and small to accommodate the style of the dress. So that's basically all that I did for this dress. I really liked the way that it turned out. I would definitely sew this pattern again. In fact, I would like to sew it in a woven non-stretch fabric just to kind of compare to see, you know, how each one holds up over time. The neckline is the only thing that I didn't have an issue with it, but I would change in the future. And I'm wearing a camisole underneath mine because I feel like the V-neck line goes down a little bit more than what I would like it to. And so in the future, I would raise that V-neck line to cover a little bit more of my cleavage area. But that's the only issue that I really had with this garment. Like I said, everything else sewed up like a dream. Now, normally when you use facings on your garment, you stabilize the facing piece and then you attach the stabilized facing piece to the neckline. Because I did not use a facing, I had to attach the stabilizer to the neckline of the bodice front and the bodice back. So that's all that I did. And I installed that to the fabric before I attached the lining to the neckline of the shell of the garment. So that's all I did. I just created basically my own little facing pieces, like my interfaced pieces, so that I can actually put that stabilizer directly on top of the fabric before installing the lining. So that's just something to keep in mind, that if you do fully line your dress, just make sure that you stabilize the neckline, especially if you're using a knit fabric like I am using. So even though it's a stable knit, I still wanted to have that structure for the neckline so that it doesn't stretch out over time. So yeah, that's my birthday dress reveal. By this point, you probably have seen the different photos and the montage going throughout the video. I had fun celebrating this with Crystal this year. We had such a blast. And Crystal, if you're watching this video, thank you so much for celebrating this year with me. Hopefully we could do the same thing next year. I had fun and I'm so glad we did this. So yeah, if you have any other questions about this pattern, please make sure that you leave your comments with me in the comment section below. And if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please make sure that you do so and click the notification bell so you can receive notifications of all my videos when I post them. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you give it a big thumbs up, because it really helps me to know what videos everybody likes, and I can keep bringing you that content in the future. All right, until next time, everyone, stay creative and happy sewing. Bye.